Watch what happens every time you flush the toilet. According to the Department of Justice, violent crime in Memphis this year is the highest that it's been in nearly 2 decades. This is the main break along the Cache River levee system that is causing all this flooding. All Memphis police officers are required to fill out a response to resistance form every time they use force when they make an arrest. Here in South Memphis, illegal dumping and blight are a constant problem. You see these piles of tires behind me here. The fog can deploy in seconds, filling the entire room, makes everything disappear. You can see one of the bullet holes that was left in the side of James Lounge from that shooting earlier this morning. If you look over here, you can see the debris and ash left from one of those 5 cars after last night. The airport does have a history of malfunctions, like it's moving sidewalks. We are standing right next to the brick wall where their car crashed after being struck by gunfire hours earlier. Walking along with them, it took some organization as far as staying ahead of this group. Organizers tried to have their own people go ahead and stop the cars so they could walk safely past. Sewage leaks and mold. That's what Dominique Barnes says she and her 4 children have lived with since the summer.
Sewage is still coming in through the shower or the toilet or the sink. There's sewage running into the yard, which is putting everybody else at risk.
Dominique says they moved into this house back in April. Within a few weeks, she discovered the mold.
And you can smell it. The smell is bad.
You can also see it on her pipes and in the attic. She believes the mold is also causing her daughter to have an allergic reaction. Dominique says it took multiple tries before the shower finally stopped leaking sludge. But watch what happens every time you flush the toilet. It looks disgusting and smells even worse. And it happens every flush. Dominique says in August, maintenance replaced this section of pipe on the side of the house. She says it took only a week for the top to pop off, allowing the sewage to flow freely. Management tells her if she wants these issues fixed, she'll need to move out temporarily by November 1st so they can rehab the home. Dominique says she can't afford to move, especially without help from her landlord. For its part, the city has issued property owner MDM Investments of Memphis 2 code violations for mold and sewage. Mike McGee with MDM told us yesterday that, quote, everything was being addressed. The city visited the property again today, and they have cited MDM Investments of Memphis to environmental court. In Memphis, I'm Stephen Pimpo. This giant tree was no match for the nearly 80-mile-an-hour winds during today's storm. Somehow, it didn't do any serious damage to the 3 houses in its path.
We were like on this side where the kitchen is, and we started seeing the wind, so we just ran that way because we knew trees were over here.
It's one of several homes on Perkins Road covered in fallen trees. And it wasn't just the front yard. The storm also snapped this tree in half in the back. But there was plenty more damage done thanks to massive trees, which East Memphis is full of.
People don't realize when they first plant these trees that what's going to happen. These trees can get up to 100 feet tall or so, and they're just really close to the houses, and they're just it's a hazard.
Jennifer Amaya says these trees were here when her parents moved in nearly 20 years ago.
And they've been here since then, and the neighbors say they've been here even longer, and when they came here, they were already here.
East Memphis resident Dennis Dixon says this house was badly damaged in a storm last year.
They had to replace their entire roof. The whole right side of the house was caved in, and they've got to deal with it all over again.
And after a week filled with storms, he and other Memphians are tired of constantly looking out for falling trees.
I used to love trees. I'm not so much anymore.
In Memphis, I'm Stephen Pimpo.
I would like to go to our state legislators and speak to them directly. I want them to look me in the eye and tell me that I don't matter, because that is what this bill says.
Moth 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 is one of several drag performers who call Memphis home. But after spending the last 7 years as an entertainer here, she says a new bill before the Tennessee General Assembly threatens her livelihood.
This bill makes doing drag in public a felony and a misdemeanor, which would ruin all of our lives.
Senator Jack Johnson has introduced Senate Bill 3, which would make an adult cabaret performance on public property or somewhere that children could see it a crime. He says he crafted the bill because of sexually explicit drag shows he says happened at a library and a public park.
I don't necessarily know all the details about all of these instances. I do know, however, that video has circulated online and elsewhere, and there have been some news reports of it as well, of a drag show type of performance taking place that was overtly sexual in nature. It was sexually suggestive, and there being kids around.
Senator Johnson says it would not apply to drag shows that do not include sexual content. Moth says that part of the bill leaves too much open for interpretation.
Straight people love to sexualize LGBTQIA people. They look at us and they see everything that we do is something that's sexually explicit.
Age-restricted venues like Drew's Bar would be unaffected by this bill if it were to pass. But Moth says some of her highest-paying performances have happened in public places.
Queer people and LGBTQIA people belong in public spaces.
Tri-State Black Pride co-founder and vice president Dr. David Clemens calls the bill disgusting.
You have these rich, privileged, racist, homophobic men making decisions for Tennesseans.
You will not harm or subjugate me because of it. I'm not harming anybody.
In Memphis, I'm Stephen Pimpo. Here in South Memphis, illegal dumping and blight are a constant problem. You see these piles of tires behind me here. It's kind of the perfect spot for illegal dumping here on Grimes Street. You see the trees just blocking the view of all of this refuse from the rest of the street. Now, the fight against blight falls to Joy Tuliados as she works to clean up and beautify Memphis. South Memphis residents say the grass at the corner of Cameron Street and South Parkway is so overgrown, it's become a driving hazard.
There's cars coming, but I can't see the cars coming, so I try to ease out as the cars are coming, and one vehicle had to swerve around me to keep from hitting my vehicle.
Tawana Malone says the tall grass here has been growing out of control in her neighborhood for at least 2 months.
We're putting other drivers at risk. We're putting ourselves at risk, and that's not okay. I just want the city to come and clean up our neighborhoods.
The responsibility of cleaning up Memphis neighborhoods now falls on new City of Memphis Interim Public Works Director Joy Tuliados.
None of the priorities have changed just because I've become interim director. We're still focusing on the illegal dumping. We're still out in the communities.
Tuliados takes over after serving as Deputy Director of Public Works, where she was responsible for services like neighborhood improvement, street sweeping, drain and street maintenance, and more. When it comes to illegal dumping, she says mattresses and tires are what they see most.
It's constantly something that Public Works and Solid Waste are cleaning up daily.
Tuliados says it will take all Memphians lending a hand to truly clean up the Bluff City.
We'll be able to help each other and make the city beautiful again.
Now I'm told by the city that code enforcement is coming out tomorrow to investigate that overgrown grass. Now anyone can report illegal dumping or code violations by dialing 311. In fact, I might give them a call up and report these tires. Reporting live in South Memphis, I'm Stephen Pimpo.